real pleasure to have such a fine audience here today. And it's always a pleasure for me to work with this wonderful group of musicians in the orchestra. But I'm particularly happy today to have this great choir up here with us. And you're going to enjoy them, I know. I wanted to say just a couple of words of thanks to them. I'll have to tell you a story on one of them. I happened to be rehearsing with this young man on a Mozart piece, and I was urging him on a little bit, and I said, well, you know, I think you can do this piece a little better than this. You know, when Mozart was your age, he had performed most of the major works for piano, and he had written several symphonies, to which the young man replied to me, well, when Mozart was your age, he was dead. Seriously, the year 1791, the last year of Mozart's life, his life of 35 years. And about this time of year, exactly 200 years ago, Mozart was hard at work composing the Magic Flute, one of the greatest operas of all time. Mozart and Constanze, his wife, were living in Vienna, Austria, and he was already overworked and fatigued. Late one evening, a masked man opened their door and delivered a mysterious request for Mozart to compose a Requiem Mass, which is a mass for the dead, for someone who wished to remain anonymous. Mozart begins work on this Requiem, but he confides to Constanze that he believes the masked stranger is the messenger of death, and that he, Mozart, is composing this Requiem for his own funeral. In addition to working on Magic Flute and the Requiem, Mozart this year writes many letters to friends and patrons begging for loans of money. In June, Constanze bears him their sixth child, and a month later they begin a strenuous journey to the city of Prague, where Leopold II is to be crowned. Mozart has been commissioned to write an opera for the coronation festivities, so he pawns all their silver to pay for the trip to Prague. They travel by coach, and in the coach, Mozart begins the writing of this opera, La Clemenza di Tito. It is completed in 18 days. It is his last opera. Also to be performed at these coronation festivities is the Mass you will hear today. Ironically, it is being conducted by his arch rival, Antonio Salieri. Mozart wrote this Mass when he was still living in Salzburg, and he was only 23 years old. Mozart's handwritten score to this music eventually ended up in the Great Prussian Library in Berlin. When I wrote to this library in January of this year and asked if I could have a microfilm or Xerox copy of this handwritten score to the coronation Mass, the Berlin Library said it was lost, but I should try the Jagiellonian Library in Krakow, Poland. Finally, I was able to obtain a microfilm copy from this library in Poland. But in so doing, I learned of a mystery concerning many famous original manuscripts of music and their so-called disappearance following World War II. This mystery would rival anything Agatha Christie could write. This is a story that lasts for more than 30 years and involves suicide and international intrigue. Today, there is still not much being said by Germany or Poland on this subject, but the manuscripts are in Poland, not in Germany. I recommend you read Paper Chase by Nigel Lewis. Back to the Mozarts, they returned from Prague, and in the fall of 1791, Mozart composes his last string quartet, but the Requiem Mass lies unfinished. On December the 5th, his dying gesture is an attempt to sing passages of the Requiem to those gathered around him. Mozart left this world with $200 in cash, some shoddy furniture, $23 worth of books, and $3,000 worth of debts. And yet in 1987, a little volume of his handwritten scores to some symphonies brought $56 million at an auction in London. Today, as we sit here this afternoon, two of our spacecraft, Voyager 1 and Voyager 2, are speeding through the dark, cold, interstellar night. They are expected to survive for billions of years as they orbit the center of the Milky Way galaxy. Should they be intercepted one day by other space civilizations, they each carry a golden phonograph record containing information about us here on Earth. Mozart's immortal music is a part of that golden phonograph record. When Mozart died, Haydn said, "The world will not see the likes of this man and his genius for 100 years. For 200 years we have not."